We learn to see our bodies as problems instead of partners. When you see your body as a problem, it becomes nearly impossible to care for your body with any sort of compassion, consistency, or devotion. It becomes a battle. What if the way you view your body is actually keeping you from losing weight or achieving your wellness goals? What would change in your health, your confidence, and relationships if you liked your body more? Today on the Phoenix Perspective podcast, we're going to explore self-esteem through a whole new lens and give you the tools to create a healthier, more loving relationship with yourself. And here's my promise to you for this episode. You will walk away understanding why your relationship with your body impacts everything, from hormones to energy to intuition, and how shifting from self-criticism to devotion creates lasting, soul-aligned health. So stick around. Welcome to the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Kori Rae Kovacs, a registered nurse and reflector in human design on a soul mission to help women like you rise from life's ashes with abundant energy, purpose, and joy. Each week, we'll meet at the intersection of science, soul, and storytelling as we create a bridge between holistic women's health, the sacred feminine, and cyclical wisdom. You'll get tools and insights from experts and guests helping you to thrive in every area of your life. So go ahead and pull up a chair, grab your favorite crystal or cup of tea, and let's rise like phoenixes together. Hello, everyone. So glad you're here for episode 2. Today, we're going to talk about a topic I feel like so many women struggle with. That's the relationship they have with their body. Some of us have this love-hate relationship with our bodies. For example, we like our thick, juicy booties, but we hate our thick tummies. Or maybe we fall into another camp where we don't even think about our bodies as we go about our busy days. Whatever camp you fall in, you are not alone. First off, before we really dig into this, I want to start off with some reflector reflections. So I know we're just getting started in the Phoenix Perspective podcast, but I want you to know a little bit, if this is the first time you're listening, or if you're just getting started and you're here right at the beginning with me, just know that reflector reflections, these are my observations of the world as a reflector in human design. I love being able to share those with other people and sharing them with you. So as I contemplated the current state of affairs in our world and in relation to our body views, like how we view our bodies, this is what I've observed. For many women, the body is not a partner. It's an enemy, it's an inconvenience, or at best, it's a stranger that we barely know. We live in a world that teaches us to focus on every relationship except the one with our own bodies. And I find that really curious. We're encouraged to nurture our partners, our families, our careers, our communities, but the relationship with the body is often ignored and it's treated as something that really doesn't matter. There's a lot of self-help books out there, and we are coming into this space where self-awareness and self-love, right? You hear a lot of things about loving yourself. Those are really coming into conversation, but we're not being taught to reflect in this way. And it's very external focused when it goes to relationships. We're not really talking about the relationship we have with ourselves. We're definitely not talking about the relationship we have with our body. That's what this conversation is about. Here's some other things and words that I have heard and messages that a lot of us have grown up hearing. These are the messages like the body is sinful, and anything that has to do with the body, pleasure, sexuality, all is sin. So the entire domain of the body is sinful. Gluttony, sex, all the things, right? It's all sin. Here's the next one. Women's bodies exist for men's pleasure. That's a juicy one that I feel like we could spend a lot of time unpacking, but that's kind of the pervasive message that you see in movies and TVs, is that women's bodies are only here for men's pleasure. So we look at them, they're very highly sexualized, and that's really all they're good for. They become playthings rather than actual bodies that belong to people. Next one, the mind matters more than the body. This shows up a lot in psychology when you're talking about mindset work and personal growth and professional development, right? They talk a lot about changing our minds about things, but we don't address how the body plays a part in that. Here's another one. Bodies are messy, gross, weak, or shameful. Yeah, that's a load, especially women's bodies, right? Look at all the things that we do. We menstruate, we give birth, bodies in general, piss and shit and sweat and, that's the body fluids, right? We're painting the picture here that they're gross, inherently gross. And so we look at bodies as things that we don't talk about, things we don't think about, things that we definitely don't look at when it comes to the messiness of them. The last one, which I think is really potent, is this idea that the spiritual is higher than the physical, and that you have to abandon the body in order to become enlightened. That is definitely a pervasive thought in the spiritual community, that the body will just lead you astray. It will lead you to all the bad places. Even look at the chakras, right? We talk about the lower chakras, like the root chakra, the sacral chakra, which are very much in the feminine realm, in the physical realm, as being the lower chakras, and that the crown chakra, the third eye chakra, the higher chakras, they're the enlightened ones. They're the higher ones. They're where the high vibe is. And if you're living in your lower chakras, then you are low vibration, right? Underneath all of this is this long-standing imbalance of the masculine and the feminine energy. It's very masculine forward. So the higher chakras, spirit, mind, those are more masculine type energies. And I'm not meaning like men here. I'm talking about like the masculine qualities of divinity. Whereas the physicality, the body, these are more domains of the feminine. So we're very masculine forward in our current patriarchal society that we live in. And it elevates logic, stoicism, productivity, and disconnection from the physical. At the same time, it also devalues intuition, our emotions, the embodiment, and the feminine aspects of being human. On top of that, we are constantly shown a narrow, ever-changing definition of what a worthy body looks like. From childhood, we see in the media, social media, entertainment tells us that if the body doesn't meet a certain standard, which is like a fake standard and it changes all the time, but if it doesn't meet that standard, the right size, the right shape, the right color, the right gender expression, or the right ability, then it doesn't deserve the love, visibility, or attention. Or any attention that it does get is often negative. So bodies that are outside of what we consider like the norm are often dismissed or painted a picture that they're bad or deviant. Basically, the bottom line is this: if it's different, it becomes the low-hanging fruit for criticism and bullying and ostracism. All of these messages create one outcome. We learn to see our bodies as problems instead of partners. When you see your body as a problem, it becomes nearly impossible to care for your body with any sort of compassion, consistency, or devotion. It becomes a battle. It becomes this space where we're punishing our bodies or punishing ourselves for looking the way that it looks because it doesn't meet some sort of fictitious standard that doesn't really exist. We like to think it exists, like it's some magical number on the scale or some magical physique or being able to look a certain way with your biceps and your muscles or whatever, right? But it's all false. It actually isn't real because no matter what, you'll never be able to fit the standard. But I think it's time to bring balance back. Because from my perspective, sitting here as a reflector, I see the body as the domain of the divine feminine. Not necessarily woman, but the feminine principles like the earth, the physical, the cyclical, the intuitive, the embodied experience. The body is not lower than the spirit. It is the companion that makes the life of spirit on this planet possible. Indeed, if we did not have bodies, our souls would not be able to come down here on earth and be able to experience all the magnificent things that we get to experience as human beings. I'm a huge etymology buff. I love etymology. One of the words that we use for the physical realm or physicality is the word matter, like as in matter of substance, right? Matter literally comes from the same root word as mother. It actually used to mean the hardwood that's inside of a tree. They come from the same word. And I find that really, really interesting. We even call, Mother Earth, Mama Gaia. You'll hear me refer to the planet as Mama Gaia. But there is this intuitive sense inside of us, even inside our own language, that tells us that the physical realm and motherhood, the feminine birth creation cycles, they're all related. And since we've lived in a more patriarchal society for the last several thousand years, we've left behind the realm of the feminine, the realm of the body, the realm of the connection with earth and with our cycles for the promotion of logic, thinking, mind, spirit, those kind of pursuits. And so we've created a disconnect from the very thing that makes us possible to live life here. The feminine experience of menstruation, pregnancy, birth, perimenopause, and beyond is sacred evidence of this maternal divine feminine design. And your subconscious, your intuition, your nervous system, they all live in the realm of the body. As much as we like to think that the nervous system is actually the mind, it actually is in the domain of the body. The body reacts to things. And when we talk about nervous system healing or resilience or taking care of our nervous systems, that is in the body. It's not a mind thing. You can consciously think something, right? When you get a stressful email at work, you just think, oh, my stupid boss, right? But your body interprets that very differently. And that's what we talk about nervous system work. It's actually the body that is experiencing the threat and that reacts in a physical way. When we start seeing the body as more of a partner, it's not something that we need to dismiss or get rid of or ignore or even hate, but something that is a part of us that allows us to live this life in a co-creative space with spirit. Now suddenly we elevate the position of the body to not being under and not being this power over, which is the definition of the patriarchy, right? It's this power over. So the masculine entities of logic, reason, mind, and spirit having power over matter, intuition, the physical, the body, the subconscious. Now, instead, when you shift the power and it becomes the power with, we become a co-creative space, a more balanced space where the feminine and the masculine both play their part and are now coming forth together in a unified front to create a life. Now things start to change. The body stops being an obstacle and now starts becoming an asset. It starts becoming a partner. It now becomes a guide that is helping you to reach your goals and your fullest potential as a human being here on this planet. I want to share a little bit about my personal story. A few years ago, I had this realization that I had not been seeing my body as a partner. And it was so profound this epiphany that I had, this download that I had, it literally changed the course of my health and my life. So it was a few years ago, and I was deep in the heart of my shadow work and my self-awareness development. It was 2022. I had just started getting into cyclical awareness, was just starting to get like very, very beginning of my personal work. I had left my job at the hospital as a nurse. I was working as a nurse in the emergency room, and I had some family things. I had a young child, and the strain that it put on our family for me to work with my partner also working, and he's a truck driver. Like, he's out all the time and has a very unpredictable schedule. And so the childcare was getting to be something that we could not manage. The stress was too much. And so I made the decision to leave the hospital and to be home for ASIN. It was a very difficult decision, and to be honest, I felt pretty shitty about it. Lots of things came up for me. I never planned on being a stay-at-home mom, but it was what I needed to do at the time. So after about 6 months of wallowing around in my own self-pity and shame, I finally started getting into some shadow work. This is the first time I've ever had so much time to myself. So it was inevitable. I think Goddess really knew what was up. And I had to face some of my demons. I had to face some of the things that I hadn't dealt with. At the time, I was at my heaviest weight. I weighed 215 pounds, and on my 5'4" frame, that was a lot of weight. I was very, very negative on myself. And not just because of my weight, although that was a big part of it, but I was also critical about myself because I wasn't working, because I wasn't earning an income. I literally wasn't working 6 months after I graduated. And I felt like shit about myself. So that was all coming up in various ways. I was smoking again, smoking cigarettes. I was overeating. I was binging on TV. I was experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of reactivity with my daughter. I was very angry. And I was also having a lot of period problems. I've shared very openly about my journey with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And at the time, I was having maybe a period every 3 months-ish. Like, I was only having like 3 or 4 periods a year at that point. I would have horrible cramps. I was feeling like crap. Just overall, my health and my life was a freaking mess. I had started that journey of self-awareness and shadow work, and I had started a regular daily habit of meditating. And I found a fantastic teacher on Insight Timer. His name is Darius Bashar. If you've ever listened to him, he's fantastic. Please go find him on Insight Timer. I was listening to one of his meditations. He talked about looking and seeing our human, and that human was somebody that we were here to care for. It was the first time I had ever done any sort of personification work or parts work. So I could step outside the perspective and look at myself and see this as another person or another being. When he was talking about seeing your human, I saw my body. And in that moment, I ended up having this download, this epiphany, that I realized I had not been caring for my human at all. And I saw all the ways that I had been neglecting her, even hated her, and spoke very, very critically to her. Indeed, that was the first moment I actually referred to my body as a her, because I could see it. I stepped out for a second and realized that my body had more of an intelligence than I had ever given it credit for. That it maybe was another being, and it was a being that was under my care as a person, and that I had to make decisions to care for it. And at that moment, when I realized this word came to me, and the moment it came to me, I started bawling. And it was this concept of the body, my body, being my soul's mate. I had that thought that my body was the mate of my soul. It like blew me. I had never had that thought before. It made so much sense. It was almost like I saw my body and my soul coming together as a team so that way I could live this life. I realized that I have a relationship with my body and that my body is not a something but a someone, and that maybe it was a part of my soul's purpose to care for my soul's mate. Completely revolutionized how I viewed myself. And in that moment, I made a decision that I was going to start caring for my soul's mate. I was going to start caring for my body in a way that I'd never had been before. So it didn't happen all at once. It happened very slowly. But in the course of the next 2.5 years, I've completely changed my health. My inner dialogue of how I view myself has 180 shifted. I've lost at least 45 pounds since then. I'm much stronger. I've done a Tough Mudder. My relationships have drastically improved. My reactivity's like gone down so much. And so just this shift, this one idea that my body was my soul's mate, changed how I approached my wellness and how I serve out my purpose here on earth. So let's explore the question. Why does your relationship with your body matter? Because how you see your body directly shapes how your body functions. Before I had my epiphany, my turning point there, I had no idea how much my negative self-view was actually affecting my health and my life. But when you criticize your body or you judge her or you constantly see her as not enough, your nervous system interprets those as threats. And when your body feels unsafe, that's when you're in this fight or flight state. And that's when health can really take a turn for the worse. So the first way that shows up is in our internal environment. That's our internal stress. So chronic self-criticism, it puts your body into this subtle but constant fight or flight state. And there is enough research now that we know that if you're in a chronic stress state or a chronic inflammatory state, it's going to disrupt your hormones. You're going to have issues with your periods. You're going to have issues with your thyroid, your blood sugar management, so your insulin hormones, okay? So now we're talking about type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome. It's also that chronic self-criticism. It's increasing inflammation because, again, it's contributing to the internal stress state. Your body doesn't know the difference between what you say inside of you and what is being said to you outside of you. To your body, really the only thing that it hears is you. Because even the things that we hear on the outside, that has to get processed in your mind and then your body internalizes it. So if you are constantly saying, oh God, you are so fucking gross, then that is like somebody on the other side of you, like behind you, saying that. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine walking around and having somebody tell you all the things that you're saying in your mind, actually saying it to you out loud, outside of you all day long? But your body interprets that stress the same way. So whether it's coming from the internal or somebody is saying those things to you external, your body interprets it the same. And that's going to increase that stress. It's going to increase that cortisol. It's going to create inflammation in the body. And it makes your health much harder to take care of. Next thing that happens is your hormones get dysregulated. So again, this is based in the stress. But the stress that comes from internal self-criticism and self-rejection, it also impacts your cortisol. It impacts your progesterone, which directly impacts your fertility, or even when you're in perimenopause, those increase of perimenopause symptoms or other menstrual challenges like PMS. It affects how your body stores fat. So it's impacting your insulin. So now you're struggling to lose weight. You're struggling to keep your blood sugar stable, right? And there's a whole slew of things that comes along with that as well. And then the other piece is your thyroid, right? These are all cascading events of your metabolism, how your body functions, your energy, how well you build muscle, how well you have the experience of your periods, your fertility. All of these are impacted by your stress levels. And so if you're having this constant internal negative self-talk, then you are contributing to the overall chronic stress. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that this is everything, right? There's so many factors that contribute to our stress, but the internal one, that's what we're focusing on today. Your body cannot heal, she cannot lose weight, or take on bigger challenges like starting a soul-aligned project or business if she's constantly feeling like she's attacked. Even if the attack is coming from inside your own head. There's a piece here that we hadn't even touched on yet, right? I was just talking about kind of the physical impacts of self-criticism. But let's talk about the mental health. Self-criticism creates a fertile ground for anxiety, depression, and emotional dysregulation because the nervous system, it's constantly on edge. It's not feeling balanced. It's not feeling safe. And so because of that, it's going to create imbalances. And so that's when mental health challenges come up or things that have already been there get worse. Here's another thing that's impacted: your relationships. Because when you disconnect from your own body, it becomes harder to receive love. It's harder to be intimate with somebody. If you think and you truly believe that your body is ugly and not worthy of care or love or affection, then you're not going to be able to receive that from somebody else. I had a really, really, really hard time receiving attention from my partner. Ooh, man. I had a little bit of a wave of emotion here, just thinking about how much love I blocked from Dan when I was at my heaviest. And it wasn't because he wasn't giving me love. I think he wanted to show me love, but he also felt like I wasn't open to it. When you're in a relationship, that's very vulnerable. It's very vulnerable to want to pour love into somebody because we fear getting rejected back. And so, I mean, there were many times when I feel like he gave me, those bids for connection, like the Gottmans put it. It's the bid for connection to want to be intimate. And I would be closed off because I thought that I wasn't worthy of having his love. I look at Dan and he's a fucking sexy dude, like, for real. But I didn't see myself because of the body that I had, that I was able to receive that. And now I've done a lot of work around that, but just to see how much love I was rejecting because I didn't believe that I was worthy of having it. And what I want to emphasize to you, that if you struggle with those things, if you struggle with intimacy because of the way you feel your body looks, maybe it's time to get curious about how that relationship is with yourself and start looking at, maybe it's not my body that's the issue here. Maybe it's how I'm viewing myself that is. And the wonderful news here is you can always change that. And that's what we're working on today. Another piece that I notice that drops when you have a negative self-view of your body or a negative relationship with your body is your confidence and your motivation. They just freaking go in the toilet. Have you ever noticed that before? Like, if you're really in a space where you're not feeling good about your body, you also notice that you don't take risks or put yourself out there at work or in your business. Your confidence goes down and your motivation too. You don't want to do the things that would progress your life, that would make your life move forward. Again, your relationship with your body matters because it impacts how you show up in the world. When you don't trust your body, or you don't believe that your body is good or worthy of love or worthy of any positive thing, you stop trusting yourself. And that's really what confidence is. It's about self-trust. And this ends up cutting you off from your gifts and your purpose and your ability to show up fully in the world. The last piece that I observed that affects how we view ourselves is how our children view themselves. I grew up in a household with a mom who was very critical of her body, very verbally critical, like out loud, and was also verbally critical of other people's bodies. Now, I don't blame her for that. I know she was just dealing with the things that she was dealing with. And also, that impacted how I viewed my body. I would sit there and see her look at herself in the mirror and pinch her thighs. She really struggled with her image of her thighs, and because we have kind of close at hips, and we got some juicy legs here, y'all, in my family. And she would stand there in the mirror and look at herself and just like really like pinch her thighs and not say very nice things about herself. And then in another context or in another conversation, she would look at my body, like as I was becoming a teenager after puberty and growing up, and she would say, "Gosh, your legs look just like mine." So my little teenage brain put two and two together. My mother said that her legs were ugly or fat or gross. And then she said, my legs look just like hers. Therefore, my legs must be gross and ugly and fat and nasty. Y'all, I didn't wear shorts almost my entire 20s because I thought my legs were gross. I felt very self-conscious when I was with partners, and I would say awful things to myself about my legs. Even when I was thin. Like in the military, like I was, 150, 160 pounds, sometimes less than that. And am very muscular. And I would say that my legs were ugly and I would say all these things. And it wasn't until I started doing this kind of work that I started to heal that relationship with myself. And that was one piece that I did know, is that I was never going to say negative things about my body out loud where Asen could hear me. And I'm so grateful that I made that decision. But it made me realize, as I'm reflecting back on how we view our bodies, how much of an impact we have on our children when it comes to how we view our bodies and the things we say about our bodies. Because our children learn how to treat their own bodies by watching us. So if we're saying bad things about our bodies, if we're not taking care of our bodies, if we're not moving, if we're not, taking care of ourselves nutritionally, if we're not getting good sleep, if we're not caring for ourselves, like, children are caught, not taught. Ed Milet says that. Children are caught, not taught. So no matter what you say, really doesn't affect them as much as like how you treat yourself, the example that you set for them. Even if you're not saying those negative words out loud, but you're feeling that, you have that energy of negativity towards your body, children pick up on that. I don't know if you've noticed how intuitive children are, but they get it. And they will pick that up fast. So it's not just about our health. It's not just about our intimate relationships. It literally every single aspect of our lives is impacted by how we view ourselves. All of this is why the relationship with your body isn't just a nice idea or something fluffy or optional, really. It's literally the foundation for your health, your energy, your relationships, your leadership, and how you show up in the world with your gifts. So when you heal how you see your body, everything else starts to realign. Now, of course, I don't want to just have this podcast here and talk about all the ideologies of it. I want you to actually walk away today with another step in repairing the relationship with yourself. So I'm going to give you some mindset shifts to help you start to improve the relationship with yourself. Are you looking for a space to raise your health and vibration with other Phoenix sisters? Then come join the Vibrant and Aligned Facebook community. Inside this free group, you'll find health tips, resources, and motivation to live a life full of joy, health, and vibrancy. Make sure to check out the show notes for the link to join or search Vibrant and Aligned on Facebook. I can't wait to see you there. This is a mindset shift to help you start to see and externalize your relationship with your body a little bit. Let's take a look at healthy external relationships. Because everything that nourishes an outside relationship can also nourish your relationship with your body. As within, so without. As above, so below, right? I think sometimes it's a little easier to look at an outside relationship when you first start this kind of internal relationship body work, because we understand what it takes to make a good relationship. So let's talk a romantic relationship here, because I think that's kind of an easy one. Maybe you can look at your relationship with a child or with somebody that you care about very much, maybe a family member or a really close friend, right? Somebody you truly care for. Summon that up in your mind right now. Think of this person that you really care about. Let me ask you this. What makes that relationship thrive? How do you show up in that relationship? What creates connection, safety, and love in that relationship? These are the kinds of questions I want you to reflect on for a moment. What are the things that make up a good relationship with somebody that you have, that you care about? So I'm going to talk about like 4 core pillars that I believe make up a healthy relationship based on my experience and just what I've learned about life in general. Okay. The first that I feel like is important to build a healthy relationship is the existence of trust and safety. Trust and safety are built through honesty, communication, setting of boundaries, and following through on what you say you'll do. And that's how we create trust. We are vulnerable with each other. We are open. We're honest with each other. And then when we say that we're going to do something, we follow through with it. What creates safety, creating a safe environment for that person that you love, whether it's like a safe verbal environment, right? You're not going to feel safe if somebody's yelling at you or beating you or anything, right? Those don't create a safe environment. So what does create a safe environment? When you use loving words, when you are kind and patient, right? That creates safety and trust. And when you're not being lied to, right? So honesty. Those are the kinds of things that create trust and safety. And they are essential in any relationship that you have. The next thing is love. The way I interpret love is it's an acceptance. It's a presence. It's a kindness. And it's caring actions. It's not just squishy words. Love is actions. It's this energy that says, I am here with you and I'm not going anywhere. The next pillar, the third pillar, is joy. Healthy relationships have shared joy, right? Fun, play, laughter, making memories, having experiences that light you both up. It's kind of the glue. It's the bonding that helps a relationship stay together and makes it feel lively. It also creates connection, and you certainly know if joy is missing from a relationship, right? Often the relationship feels lifeless. It feels blah, it feels bland, it feels boring or indifferent. So it's the fun things that actually brings about more life zest. It's like the fire. The fourth pillar that I think is essential to a relationship is compassion. Compassion really means being gentle when mistakes happen. It's understanding that being human involves messing up and that even though somebody makes a mistake, it doesn't mean they're not worthy of your love or worthy of respect or care. It also means that you invest in your ability to manage conflict and own your stuff, take responsibility, and have some grace for another human being when they make a mistake. It doesn't mean you throw in the towel the first time that somebody messes up. So when you nourish a relationship with these 4 pillars, now that relationship thrives. Now that I've shared these 4 pillars with you about a relationship, trust and safety, love, joy, and compassion, let's apply those 4 pillars to the relationship with yourself, with your body. I call these the 4 pillars of self-love because they help you build a strong foundation of health, well-being, and vibrant living. So the same principles that make a good external relationship also are the same 4 principles that make a fantastic internal relationship. Because as within, so without. As above, so below. It's the same thing. And so ask yourself, are you fostering these same qualities in your relationship with your body? Are you creating trust, love, joy, and compassion with yourself? And if you ask those questions and the honest answer is no, then I invite you to take a deep breath. Let's do it right now. Because it's okay. Truly, none of us were taught how to care for ourselves in this way. We've been raised in a patriarchal culture that treats the body like it's a problem to be fixed or a burden to manage, or that it's just a meat suit carrying around, even in the spiritual community, that it's just this, sinful thing that is keeping us from enlightenment. Really, we've been raised to see it as a bad thing instead of the sacred partner that it truly is, instead of it being our soul's mate, the part of us that came here together with our soul, that made an agreement to help us live a life so that way we could come here and do the thing that we wanted to do. That is a partnership. And without your body, you would not be able to be here. It is astronomical that you even have a body. What a gift and a privilege that is. The odds of you being here are you're more likely to win the lottery than you are to be a human being on this planet. Think about that. This has been an incredible conversation so far. And if you're a woman who's looking to create her most vibrant life, tune in for just a couple moments. Have you been struggling with fatigue, cravings, or maybe you're seeing chaotic periods, or just feeling disconnected from your body's wisdom? If so, it might be time to get some soul sister support. If you're ready to reclaim your feminine power and vitality, I invite you to come check out Sacred Phoenix Wellness. At Sacred Phoenix Wellness, I help soul-led women like you to lose weight, repair your hormones, and get your energy back so you can meet life's challenges like the powerful phoenix you are. Using a science-based, feminine-led approach, I'll support you to create a hormone-loving lifestyle that actually works with your body instead of against it. If you're ready to feel like yourself again and rise into a stronger, clearer, and more alive version of you, go to sacredphoenixwellness.com and apply to work with me. Your vibrant life is waiting. Now, let's get back to the show. As we close out today's episode, my intention was really simple. It was to help you see that your relationship with your body matters. If you've been stuck in a cycle of inconsistency or negative self-talk or ongoing health struggles, it might be time to gently look at the relationship you have with you. And honestly, if you start this work and you're like, I need help, I am really having a problem here, then let me know. This is what I help women with. Yes, I help women lose weight. Yes, I help women balance their hormones as a health coach, right? But really, I'm in the self-love business, y'all. Because at the end of the day, that's actually what it comes down to, is about repairing the relationship with yourself. Because I believe when health comes from a place of devotion rather than punishment, that is the most incredible, impactful thing that you can ever do for yourself and for the world around you. I truly believe this at the bottom of my heart, that when you begin seeing your body as the incredible miracle that she is, your wellness habits, they will stop feeling like punishment. And they will start becoming acts of devotion. That means you start being more consistent in your healthy habits because you want to care for your precious body. Self-care truly becomes self-love. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Dr. Christiane Northrup. She's a world-renowned OBGYN who wrote an incredible book called Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. And this is what she says. We have the body we have because it is precisely the vehicle in which we can best do what we came to do. When we see our bodies as our soulmate, as a true partner in this lifetime, something inside of us opens. We become more attuned to the callings of our soul. We become more receptive to joy and more grounded in our feminine power. And when we step into that kind of self-love, the ripple effects that come from us, it's very real and it happens very quickly. First, it starts in our home with our families and our partners and our kids. And then it starts rippling out into our communities and our work. And eventually those ripples, they cascade their domino effects outside of us. But it all starts within. We end up seeing more love. We end up experiencing more connection, more fulfillment, and more peace. And all of that sounds like a vibrant life worth living. Of course, I am never going to leave you without having a card reading because I love the card readings. They're my favorite part of the episode. I am using the Rose Oracle deck from Rebecca Campbell, and it is one of my favorite decks. Remember, take what resonates and leave what doesn't, and trust that the message will get to the person that needs to hear it. And today, the message is the thorn. This is about protection, boundaries, and clear communication. What I love about the thorn card is that it's this call to protect the precious things. Today we talk so much about our soul's mate, our bodies. This is a call today to realize that relationship is important, and we need to create space to cultivate that relationship. We can't just be pouring all of our attention, all of our focus on external relationships, even relationships with the divine. We have to make the time to care for our bodies and to care for the relationship with ourselves. Indeed, it is the relationship that we have had since our first breath, and it is the only relationship we will have until our very last. And so this is a call today and a reminder from Spirit that it is important to protect this work, to protect the work of caring for your body, to protect your body and the time that you spend caring for your body like it matters. Yes, I am celebrating you because you just finished another episode of the Phoenix Perspective Podcast. I am so grateful we got to spend time together today. It's really been a blast. If this episode lit up your heart or sparked something in your soul, please follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to rise too. Until next moon phase, remember, you are so worthy of living your most vibrant life. See you next time.